טוב לכולם. אנחנו שמחים שאתם איתנו כדי לציין את הערב הזה, את ערב יום הזיכרון לשואה ולגבורה, כאן ביחד בקהילת כל הנשמה. אנחנו נתחיל את ההתכנסות שלנו הערב בתפילת ערבית, לאחריה הטקס זיכרון, שבו ישתתפו כמה חברות וחברים בקטעי קריאה מהבית. ובסיום הטקס, לאחר שירת התקווה, נשאר כאן ביחד לשמוע את סיפורו של דוד מרקס, אביה של אברהמי, ניצול אושוויץ, שיספר לנו את סיפורו. אני רוצה להתחיל קודם כל בהדלקת נר זיכרון קהילתי, ואחר כך נעבור לתפילת ערבית. אני מזמין את הרב לוי להקריא לנו את שירו של הרב ראובן המר, שנפטר באוגוסט לפני פחות משנה. לוי, אתה איתנו? אתה יכול לבטל את המיוט ולהקריא לנו? הנה. לוי, אתה איתנו?
אתה יכול, עודד, לבטל את המיוט בשבילו?
כן, ביטלתי. אני אנסה זאת שוב. לוי, תפתח את המיקרופון אצלך. אתה כבר לא במיוט, אבל משום מה לא שומעים. טוב, אנחנו משום מה לא שומעים את הרב לוי, אז אני מבקש מנועה גיבסון, אם את יכולה בבקשה להקריא לנו את השיר.
ארון התורה, ארון האמונה, עומד בודד שקול. באנו לזכור את אלה שאין לשכחם. באנו לדבר על דבר שאי אפשר לדבר, אבל אין להשאירו בלתי נאמר. באנו להזכיר לעצמנו את אשר נעשה ואת אשר לא נעשה. באנו לשאול את השאלות שאין להן מענה, אבל אין להשאירן ללא שאלה. יודעים אנו כיצד לזכור את אלה שהכרנו ואינם. יודעים אנו להעלות זכרו של אדם אחד. אבל כולנו אבלים, כולנו מעלים זכרם של 600 ריבו, ולא רק של אחד בלבד. לא רק אלה שהכרנו, אלא אלה שאיש אינו מכירם.
תודה, נועה. בועז ונטע, בבקשה.
גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא יגרע, גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא ירא, לא 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 ירא, כי אתה עמדי, לא 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 ירא, כי אתה עמדי. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא ירא, גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא ירא, לא 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 ירא, כי אתה עמדי, לא 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 ירא, כי אתה עמדי.
הריני מקבל עליי את מצוות הבורא, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך. הריני מקבל עליי את מצוות הבורא, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך. איי איי איי, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים ממשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד, ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל רוח. והיה אם שמוע תשמעו אל מצוותיי. ושמתם את דברי אלה על לבבכם. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, ואמונה כל זאת וקיים עלינו. העושה לנו ניסים במצרים, אותות ומופתים באדמת בני חם, ויוצא את עמו ישראל מתוכם, כאז כן עתה לחירות עולם. המוליך עמו במדבר להביאו אל גבול קודשו, ציווה שופטים להושיעם ונביאים להשיבם אליו. המזהה ישראל בין הגויים ומקבץ נידחיו כרועה עדרו. גם כי הלכו בגיא צל מוות, 600 ריבו בתמרות עשן, פקד את שארית פלטתם, ראשית גאולתו הראה להם, ויביאם ויתאם בהר נחלתו. וראו בניו ובנותיו גבורתו, שיבחו והודו לשמו, ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו עליהם. מרים ומשה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו עמך בוקע ים לפני משה, זה אליינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, ועמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. והגן בעדנו והסר מעלינו אויב, דבר וחרב ורעב ויגון, והרחק ממנו עוון ופשע, וצל כנפיך תסתירנו. כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה, כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, שומר עמו ישראל וכל יושבי תבל לעד. אמן. תפילת העמידה, תפילה בדומיה. אם ברשותכם סידור, אתם מוזמנות ומוזמנים להתפלל את תפילת העמידה מהסידור. ואם לא, לקחת רגע של תפילה, של כוונה. אדוני שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. אני מזמין את ורדה, קריא לנו את שירה של רבקה מרים.
האמת שתמוז יקרה. נשארתי לבדי תחת השמיים, וישבתי על ספסל. סיפרתי לאלוהים על האנשים שהכרתי, פתאום הלכו מאימי. וסיפרתי לאלוהים על השמיים, שאיני יודעת אם עוד נמצאים הם והיכן, שאולי הם עטופים בי, ואולי אני עטופה בהם.
תודה, תמוז. תודה רבה. אני מזמין את חיה, להקריא לנו מתוך מגילת השואה שכתב אביגדור שינן. חיה, את איתנו?
שומעים?
שומעים חיה.
אוקיי. הרבה כבר ראיתי, והרבה עוד אראה, אך מה שנגלה לעיניי שם לא אוכל לשוב ולראות. כל המילים שנבראו ושיבראו בכל השפות כולן, לא יצליחו לתאר, ולו מעט ממה שנגלה לעיניי. ואף זאת תדע, לא אוכל לשכוח ולא יהיה בי הכוח להבין.
אני מזמין את מיכאל לקרוא את תפילת הזיכרון.
יזכור, נתייחד עם זכרם של 6 מיליוני אחינו ואחיותינו, אשר נספו בשואה, בעדי רעל ובשריפות כבשן נכחדו. קהילות ישראל ופליטת עמנו נקראו לקדש שם שמיים, אך בשיא סבלם המר, ונוכח יד האימים המרצחת, שהשמידה ללא רחם גברים ונשים, זקנים וטף, לא עבדו אמונה ותקווה, בניצחון הטוב על הרע, בניצחון האמת על השקר, בניצחון החופש על השעבוד. הנאהבים והנעימים בחייהם, ובמותם לא נפרדו. אדוני הוא נחלתם. וינוחו בשלום על בשורי משכבותם, ונאמר אמן.
אמן.
אשרי הגפור שניסף והצית לבבו. אשרי הלהבה שברה בסתרי לבבות. אשרי הלהבות שידעו לחדול בכבוד. אשרי הגפרור שנשרף והצית לבבו. אשרי הגפרור שנשרף והצית לבבו. אשרי הלהבה שברה בסתרי לבבות. אשרי הלהבות שידעו לחדול בכבוד. אשרי הגפרור שנשרף והצית לבבו.
חיה, בבקשה.
קבוצה של צעירים התגודדה למול לוח מודעות. אחת מהן, כתובה ביידיש, משכה את תשומת ליבי. הוסבר לנו שזו הודעה על קונצרט שיערך בו ביום. מקהלה קטנה וכנר בודד. מודעות אחרות סיפרו על שיעורי תורה והרצאות בענייני דיומה. האם היה בכוחם של אלה להשתיק ולו לרגע את הרעב המנסר, או לחנוק את האימה מפני העתיד? מניין שאבו היהודים את הכוח להביט כך בעיניו של המלאך המשחית?
אני מזמין את שאול לקרוא עבורנו.
ונתתי להם בביתי ובחומותיי יד ושם, טוב מבנים ומבנות, שם עולם אתן לו אשר לא יכרת. לכל איש יש שם שנתן לו אלוהים, ונתנו לו אביו ואמו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו קומתו, ואופן חיוכו, ונתן לו האריג. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו ההרים, ונתנו לו כתליו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו המזלות, ונתנו לו שכניו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו חטאיו, ונתנה לו כמיהתו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו שונאיו ונתנה לו אהבתו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו חגיו ונתנה לו מלאכתו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו תקופות השנה ונתן לו עברונו. לכל איש יש שם שנתן לו הים ונתן לו מותו.
תודה, שאול. יש הרבה יתרונות לשימוש בזום, בעיקר בימים האלה שאנחנו לא יכולים להתכנס יחד. אבל לעמוד אחד ליד השנייה באולם בית הכנסת שלנו, ולהזכיר שמות, ולראות כל פעם מי המזכירים אנחנו לא יכולים. לא בצורה הזאת, לא דרך הזום. ובכל זאת ברגע הזה, אני מזמין את כולנו לבטל את ההשתקה במיקרופון, וכשם שהנרצחות והנרצחים בשואה עלו לעתים השמיימה, איבדו את חייהם, ביחד, באותו רגע, ולא היה ניתן להבדיל בין רגע המוות אחד למשנהו. נזכיר אנחנו את השמות, את מה שנשמע, ולוואי שיעלו כל השמות וכל הזיכרונות יחד לטובה. אני זוכר ברגעים האלה את בני ובנות משפחתי ממשפחות מוזר וקנרק.
שורד רודפילד, לקוח שלי.
פייגה דובובי, בעלה יוסף זילבר, ובנם בנימין.
אני זוכרת.
משפחות של סבים שלי, משפחות הופשר, לדרם וזימון.
אני זוכרת את בני משפחת פטרושקה וברינץ, את הרב וברלדוב ואשתו איתה.
אני זוכרת את בני משפחת פסורסקי, משפחת אבא שלי. משפחת ארליכמן, משפחת בורקט.
אני זוכרת את משפחת מרקוביץ' ומשפחת ברקוביץ'.
אני זוכרת 97 מבני משפחת לוטשטיין נרצחו באושוויץ ובסוביבו.
אני זוכרת את משפחת ברקוביץ', סבי יעקב וסבתי זלדה וחמשת ילדיהם שנספו. אני זוכרת את סבי ממשפחת מרקוביץ', ישעיהו מרקוביץ' ואשתו אסתר, וארבעת ילדיהם שנספו, ועוד הרבה קרובי משפחה שכולם נספו באושוויץ.
אני זוכרת את משפחות רוזנר ומרקוס.
משפחת הכט ומשפחת סתיו.
אני זוכרת את משפחת יונגרייס.
ואני זוכר את סלה בת יהודה אריה לייב, דודה שלי, אחד מהמשפחה שנהרגה.
אני זוכרת את אמא של סבא שלי, הנריאטה ליטמן, ואת האח שלו, פיליקס ליטמן.
אני זוכרת את בני משפחת ביגוטני ובני משפחת שוורץ.
There's no orange.
No, I see the light on. אני זוכר את יעקב פז'ומצ'יק ופייגה שרברניק. יהי זכרם של כל מי שהזכרנו כאן, ושל הרבים רבים רבים כל כך שלא הזכרנו. נצור לברכה בלב עמנו. בועז, בבקשה.
על הדרך וצומח צמרתו תשוח, עזבו ציפוריו להנחות הרוח, אל דרום ומערב ואולי מזרחה, רק הרוח תלטף צמרתו שפחה. אל אמי אני אומר, להקשיבי מה, אף אני ציפור אהיה וכנף הרימה, אל העץ ערופה לי, לא ענוד ממנו, אצייץ לו שיר עליז ואנחה ממנו. ים טרי 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 ים טרי 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 טרי. אז אמי מוחה דמעה בן יקיר הבן לי, אל תעוף לבד בקור שמא תצטנני, אל תבכי מחבל על מאור עינייך, כך וכך יהיה ציפור ואפוס כנפיים, שא חיים ועורמה לפחות כך בגד חם שתהיה בריא לי, הרדליים שתנהל לקשור צעיף על עורף, אוי עלי ועל עלי כה קשה החורף. גופייה חמה תלבש על נתית הריח, או חלילה בין מתים תבוא להתארח, כמה לי קשה עכשיו איך כנף הרימה, מה קלה היא הציפור, מה כבד לב אימא. אז בעצב החייך אימא אל עינייך, לא נתנה אהבתך לי לפרוס כנפיים, על הדרך את צומת צמרתו תשוח, עזבו ציפוריו להנחות הרוח. ים טרי 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 תם ים, טרי 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 תם.
אני מזמין את מיכל לקרוא לנו את השיר הבא.
שיחה עם הילד, שנת 43, מלחמה, בלוק ומפעל, אם ובנה. הילד, סגולים פניו, שיער האם כחלב. הגידי לי אמא, שאל הפעוט, מה זאת אומרת רחוק? רחוק זה מעבר להר, מעבר ליער אפל, זה נוף אגמים ונהר, רכבות ומסילת הברזל. רחוק זה מסע בים, אונייה מפליגה לאינסוף. זה האי המופיע אי שם, והחול המבהיק על החוף. אך כיצד להסביר זאת אוכל לילד שבגטו גדל, אשר לא ראה מימיו, נהר מפקה את מימיו, ותמונות של הרים, יערות, בנפשו אינן חרוטות. כיצד להסביר לתינוק את פירוש המילה רחוק. רחוק ילדי היקר, ודמעה תבצבץ ביני. זה מרחק מהבלוק שלנו אל הבלוק השני. הגידי לי אמא, הגידי, שואל שהוא שואל הקטן. הגידי לי אמא, הגידי, מה זאת אומרת מזמן? מזמן זהו לילה בחרך, פנסים וניאונים מואר, שלוות בית חמים ומוסק, בילוי ערב עד מאוחר. מזמן זהו סרט קולנוע, עיתון בוקר, ארוחה משותפת, בית קפה ועוגה עם קצפת. צילומי שפת הים, ירח דבש, ולחם לבן ללא קש. אבל איך אוכל לתאר, עבר מפואר ובהיר, לפעוט שמאום לא זוכר, כיצד אוכל להסביר. מזמן ילדי האהוב, הצנוע מרעב ומותש, מזמן פירושו ששוב, כבר מזמן לא חילקו לנו דבש. לשם מה להסביר שאי שם, נוהג כדרכו העולם. העולם ילדי הקטן, שידיים מושיט כה רחוק, זה חיים שמעבר לגטו, הרחק ממפעל ומבלוק.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, דיין אלמנות ואבי יתומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, לנשמות רבבות אלפי ישראל, אנשים, נשים וטף, שנהרגו ונשחטו, שנחנקו ונשרפו, ושנקברו חיים על קידוש השם, בשנות השואה האיומה באירופה ובצפון אפריקה. כולם קדושים וטהורים, ובהם גאונים וצדיקים, ארזי הלבנון ואדירי התורה. אנא בעל הרחמים, הסתירם בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, זכור עקדתם, ותעמוד לנו ולכל ישראל את צדקתם. ארץ, אל תכסי דמם, ואל יהי מקום לזעקתם. יהיו חיינו יד ושם לזכרם, ומופת לחייהם ולקורבנם. יעמדו הקדושות והקדושים לגורלם לזיכרון לפני אדוני תמיד, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותם, ונאמר אמן. אנו נמצאים גם בימי ספירת העומר, בימים שמחברים מפסח לשבועות, מהיציאה אל החירות אל קבלת התורה, ובהם בדורותינו, אנו עוברים גם את המסע מהשואה אל התקומה, מיום הזיכרון לשואה ולגבורה, אל יום הזיכרון לחיילי וחיילות צה"ל ונפגעי פעולות האיבה, ואל יום העצמאות. הננו מוכנים ומזומנים לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר, כמו שכתוב בתורה, וספרתם לכם ממחרת השבת מיום אביכם את עומר התנופה, 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה. עד ממחרת השבת השביעית תספרו 50 יום. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר. היום 12 יום, שהם שבוע אחד ו5 ימים לעומר. לשנאת הזר לא תהי תקווה, וכל ביזוי צלם האלוהים כרגע יובד. פי מחרחרי שנאה מהרה יסחר, וכל איבה ושיעבוד, אפליה ורצחנות תעקרנה ותשברנה. וליבותינו תכניע לעובדך בלבב שלם במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר האדם. אני מזמין את כולם לפתוח את המיקרופונים ולהצטרף כולנו יחד לאמירת קדיש האבלים. גדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. ובזמן קריב, אמן.
אמן. יהי
שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה.
תומם ונשא, דר ותלל שמי קדושה.
כל מחתה ושירתה,
שלמה רבים שמיה.
טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל
אמן.
שלום ברחמות.
הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל
ועל כל יושבי תבל.
אמן.
שוב את המיקרופונים, בועז ונטע, שיר הבא. בועז ונטע.
רק דקה.
אני מזמין את כולם להצטרף יחד לשירת התקווה. כל עוד בלבב פנימה נפש יהודי הומיה ולפתי מזרח קדימה עין לציון צופיה שנות אלפיים להיות הקדושים
אותם חופשי ארץ ציון
תודה רבה לכל מי שהשתתף ולקח חלק בהנחיית הטקס. תודה גדולה לבועז ולנטע. ואני רוצה להזמין את שלי, שתציג את אבא שלה, דיוויד מרקס, שיספר לנו את סיפורו הערב. שלי, בבקשה.
תודה רבה עודד, ותודה רבה לקהילה שאתם מוכנים להקשיב ולשמוע על הסיפור של אבא שלי. הוא ידבר באנגלית, אז אני אעבור לאנגלית עכשיו. I want to thank Oded and the Kihila for hosting my father on this occasion. I would like to introduce him. His name is David Marks. My father did not talk much about his experiences during the Shoah when we were little and growing up. He wanted us to have a very normal and healthy childhood. But in the last 15 years or so, he has made a point of going around to different forums and telling his story. And recently he was in Poland for the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. And he had quite an experience there, which he can talk about also. He thinks it's extremely important today to educate the younger generations, and he feels it's imperative for us to learn from history. My father would love to answer any questions you may have at the end of his talk, so please feel free to speak up at that time. Don't be shy. And Dad, are you out there? Where is he? Let's see. Dad, you have to unmute your microphone. You see on the bottom, on the left?
Yes.
Okay. Now we can hear you. You're on. Yes, you're invited to tell your story now.
I hear you well.
Everybody hears you too.
So you would like to hear my story?
Yep, you're on.
Okay, thank you. I feel very honored to tell you my beautiful story. Shalom, shalom to everybody. I want to introduce myself. My name is David Marks. I'm going to be 92 years old in July. And I would like to share with you my Holocaust survivor, my Sherit HaPleita story, that for the young generation mostly, they should know what happened, and it shouldn't happen again. So in order to tell you my whole story, I would like to give you a little background of my youth, when approximately I was 14, 15 years old. So you should understand what I was against when I was 15 years old and the war was not over, and what life we had there. So I come from a family, we had 12 children, and if somebody is interested to see the whole family, you should go to Yad Vashem, because my father's clock is there displayed, and it's very interesting to see because we will be able to save it from the Magefa. So anyway, when I was 14, 15 years old, every day in Hungary joined the Nazi Axis that time, and Hitler gave him a big chunk of Romania to the Hungarian. And that was our, Ha'ason Shalanu, because Hungary was a fascist country, and they came and the last minute got together every Jew and they sent us to the crematorium. So just to give you a background for the children today, when they go to the army or before the army, what a 15-year-old boy was against it. We were not allowed to go anymore to public school. Every day, new regulations, new law came out. A Jew cannot have a maid, a Jew cannot have a textile factory, a Jew cannot have a license to own a taxi, a trucking business, which my father had a trucking business. I had only one chance to go to yeshiva and to sit and to learn. Still 12, age 12, 13, I was going to cheder like any other kid. But when it started to get the war, I had the feeling that I must learn something. If this war is going to end, how am I going to stay alive? How am I going to support myself? Never mind to make another future. So I was always desired to work with wood. And there was a small shop in the village, and even I was not allowed to be an apprentice. No way, a Jewish boy could not go there. So he happened to be a Romanian man, and he hated the Hungarian just like we Jews. So I told my father that he should go to him and he should hire me as a laborer. So he felt sorry for me because he had to do a favor back to a Jew who did to him when I was a young boy. And he let me come into his factory, and he told me, anybody that you don't know comes into the shop, you should right away grab a broom and throw the hammer, even if you throw it on your feet, but don't keep it, because I could go to jail for that. So luckily, I was able to learn there to work for 2 years. And that extended to my life till I retired in the United States. So from there, from that little factory, I was taken to the ghetto in Hungary, which was on the out of the city, a brick factory, without any accommodation, without a mattress, without anything. Everybody one day came out a law that it should go down to the street, and the transport is going to pass on the road like a bunch of sheep or a bunch of cattle, and you join them, and you're going to go to the end of the town, and there they put us in a post like nothing was there, nothing, just the shed where they used to dry the brick what they're making, because the brick was made from Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we were taken there, and we were there without food, without anything, till they got together all the Jewish people from the little villages. Then one day they said that we're going to be sent to work. A railroad track was about maybe 300 feet from the ghetto, and there were cattle cars, and we went through a table which a Nazi Hungarian was standing. He said, all the documents, what you have, just throw it in the bundle there, because you're going to get new documents. Everything what we had valuable in our pocket, you should just throw it in. And they packed us into the cattle car, 70, 80 people. They gave us 2 pails, one for drinking water, one for the necessary service that we're gonna need. For 4 days, they didn't open the door. There was no way to see where they're taking us, because the window of that little train was so high, nobody could reach it. Finally, we came to the border of a Hungarian city, and the Germans took us over there. It was very close already to Poland. The German people opened the door, and they were cursing the Hungarian. How can Hungarian civilized people treat people like that? When he saw young and old and sick people, the German couldn't understand how this Hungarian behaved against us. And I can tell you stories, because I'm jumping from one sentence to the other. I must have been about 14, 15 years old in our town. And I had a brother, and he was working in a mill for the wheat. And because he was working, he was getting extra, because everything was rationed. So he got extra wheat for the family, because we were 12 children, for bread. So my father told me one Sunday afternoon, he says, we had a horse in a little carriage, go to that village. My grandmother lived there, and there is 100 pounds of flour, put it in the wagon and bring it home. So I went. So the guy he was a Christian, because he had also a family, so maybe he will take half off, so we should not have the calamity, how to straighten it out. He told me I should go with the guy. So of course I went. We came out of the village maybe a half an hour on top of a mountain. A Hungarian Nazi gendarme stopped the wagon. He asked us what we're doing, what we have in the wagon. So I had the paper, the document, everything. So he told me I should get off the wagon and should go into his office. A lieutenant was sitting there, and he said, you son of a bitch, you Jew, you are still carrying flour. You know the army is hungry, and you have that flour. So I told him that it was legitimately given us. So he took me into a room, and he spread corn, and for 2 hours I had to knead on the corn. 2 hours, it was about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. He told a sergeant, bring him out, that Jew. He took my head, and he was beating me up like somebody takes a basketball. I had no idea for what, why. He was hitting me that I couldn't see, because my face was so swollen. Finally, around 2 o'clock, I went back to the village. I came home. They didn't know what happened, where I am. My father looked at me. He said, oh my God, are you all right? I was bleeding all over. A friend of my father, he was a lawyer, and he says, Mr. Markovitz, please, let's go to the authority and take pictures and show and make a tluna. My father said, whom are you going to talk to? There is nobody. We were helpless. We had no rights for nothing. And that was the 3rd time I was beaten up when I was 14, 15 years old. So that was the life that I came to Auschwitz with. When we came to Auschwitz, we thought that we are liberated from the Hungarian. But little did we know that. It was a Friday afternoon, and the extended family was in that Auschwitz, in that truck, in that train. And my oldest sister got us together, and we saw that they told us they're going to take us for work. So where are we going to meet? Because we knew the war is going to be over. It's not going to last forever. But we never thought that it's going to be an end of our freedom. So we all decided whoever is going to be alive, wherever they're going to take us, we're going to meet all in Palestine and Israel. There was no Israel in those days. So we came to the train. They put us in. We came across the border. All of a sudden, all the doors open. And we didn't know where we are, but a lot of screaming, a lot of crying, a lot of German shepherds with the Nazis screaming. Everybody off the train. They had to get off in minutes. If you couldn't jump, they threw you down, because that train had to go back because there were 2 more transports in Hungary. So of course, my father was next to me as young brother, and they told us the man should go on the left side and the woman on the right side. My younger brother was in front of me. In front of me was my father. In front of my father was a boy. He was 12 years old. And Mengele was in front of us. He just winked with his hand, my little brother, to the left. My father came to the left. I came to him to the right. All right, I joined a bunch of people that I had never seen before. They were leftover Polish Jews there, Latvian Jews. There were so many people there, they couldn't handle it. So finally they took us to a large area, and they told they should take all our clothes, everything, because we're gonna get you in uniforms. And they took us a shower, cut off the hair from top to bottom everywhere, disinfected us. And on the other end, we came out, and they gave a striped prisoner uniform. We went into a camp which contained about 40,000 people. And they took us into one barrack, they call it, a shed, 1,500 children in under one roof. Can you imagine? So no bunk bed, no mattresses, no blanket, nothing, just a cement floor. But before we went in there, they took about 10, 15 of our prisoners, and they took out sleds of pine, and we spread it on the cement. And between each one of them was about 2-3 centimeters space, because they didn't have enough of that wood. And when we let us in one row, one child was bent against the wall, spread his leg, another one against him, 10 in one row. And then when all 10 were there, you had to bend a little back, and that's how you slept the whole night. The whole night. There was no such thing to go to the bathroom or anything. So this happened to me when I was 15 and a half years old. The shock, and without, you couldn't think for yourself. You were just like a robot. So we were there for about 2 months. And in the daytime, they let us out in the courtyard, like all not mixing with the grown-up people. And they brought us a little food. You're standing in line, standing in food. So after a while, excuse me, l'chaim. After about 6 weeks, they quarantined us in that area, because between these 1,500 children, scarlet fever broke out. All of a sudden, we had no idea what it is, but 2-3 times a day they came, the doctors, German, Jewish doctors, and they checked our shirts. They think if we have some hives, fever. The minute one of them looked like he has fever, got the fever, selected right away out. There was a big truck in the back. In the truck, later we find out that all those children, all those who got the scarlet fever, then traced straight to the crematorium so they shouldn't infect the rest of the 40,000 prisoners who were there in that night, that day. So luckily, I don't know why that later I find out why I didn't get it. And 700 of us did not get it. But I didn't rely on that I'm gonna get out of that. So there were somehow to escape from that camp. So I had an idea of a couple of friends of ours from the school, which were together 15 boys. None of them wanted to go to take a chance because if they catch you, they hang you, they shoot you. But I was afraid if we're gonna get the scarlet fever, it's sure crematorium. This way, maybe I can escape. So in the middle of the night, the barracks were not too high. They were all put together very flimsily. Just so I talked to them, and we climbed up on the wall, and we pushed the roof over, and we jumped down, 3 of us. We had no idea where to hide. The camp was sterile. Only these camps were, only these barracks were. But at the other end of the camp, we saw a bunch of roof boards that they were piled up on top of each other, and we jumped in, and there was a cavity inside. We jumped in, all 3 of us. We were there around 24 hours. We caused an awful lot of pain for the other 30,000 people because still the Germans didn't have the exact count. How many were there? Where are they? And we're missing 3 people. They didn't let them go back into the barrack for hours till they find something. What happened to them? The dogs were all over. We heard the German shepherd, they were smelling. But the pine was fresh pine, and the dogs, luckily, got mixed up and they didn't know. They had no idea that we were in there. But we were starving already, so the night later, we climbed up and we sneaked back in the same place where we came out. We sneaked back. We sneaked back, and we were safe. We were safe because the scarlet fever still was on, but I was safe. But I had to try to escape from there. So after the scarlet fever was sustained a little bit, and about 600-700 people, children, we were safe. So they came from the kitchen. They need 50 children, volunteers, or whoever. So I volunteered. My friends volunteered. We went to the kitchen. We were peeling potatoes from morning to night. And we were delighted because we were eating the raw potatoes. It was the best job that I ever had in the concentration camp. We were there morning from 8 till 6 in the evening, and we were just peeling potatoes. So I want to tell you a little story, how lucky I was and how lucky my sister was. I had 4 sisters that we were separated by Mengele came and separated us. I never knew that they exist. My mother, I had a younger sister, Ida. We never knew what happened to them. I was working in the kitchen, and one day my friend from our cheder, from our school, comes to the kitchen, and he knew that I'm working there. He says, David, he says, I saw your sister. I said, are you dreaming? No, I saw, and I told them that you are alive and you are here. So it turned out to be that along the camp was a road. And in that road, the women were pulling out their waste on a wagon. Instead of horses or a tractor, the women were pulling it. And all of them were, while the wagon was going around the camp, they were yelling, anybody there at this school, that country, anybody there? So my friend heard the name of my name from whom, and he knew her. So he came and he told me that I should come out from the kitchen when they were returning the wagon, then I'm going to be able to say hello to them. So it turned out, really, I saw one of my sisters. He says, come tomorrow because we have a chance. Another sister is going to come, another sister is going to come and be able to see you. So I asked him, what do you need? So just automatically shoes. I said, my God, because they had these Dutch clods and they were all breaking up their feet and the bleeding and the infection. So I right away went back to the kitchen and I find out that for 60 potatoes, you could inquire, you can get a pair of shoes. Woman or man or whatever, but it's a pair of shoes from mostly from grown-up people because the children, unfortunately, were going to the crematorium. So I went and I tied my pants and I lowered 30 potatoes from one end, 30 from the other. I went to the bathroom. There I opened it up. My friend came, picked up the potatoes, bought a shoe, put it in some kind of a bag with a string, and he was swinging it, and he threw it over the electric wire, and they all landed. And every sister got a pair of shoes. And then I had another cousin, another camp, and he also asked for shoes, 2 boys, 2 brothers. I met them in Canada many years later. He says, I remember the shoes, but you sent me 2 small ones. I had no choice on it. So from that potato was a blessing that I was able to help them. So I want to tell you a real miracle, and I repeated for my bride last night. We had selection from Mengele 3 times every holiday, every Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sikkes, it was known. And we were 50 in the kitchen, and we heard that it is a selection in the camp. And they took out people not good enough for work because they didn't get the right food. So, of course, they got weaker. So they selected, God forbid, they should give food to somebody who is not strong enough. So we knew that there is a selection, and we were sitting very tight and diligently with the potatoes. Then we had a Polish capo. A capo means that the manager for the kitchen potato unit. So he said, everybody out because there is a selection. They want to see if you guys are up to par, so you can work. Oh my God, we said, oh no, who knows which one is going to go in. You know, you work together, they were all the same boys. And the Germans, they always put the people 5-5. So easy to count for them, 5, 10, 15, 20. So we lined up like that. Well, there was one line in front of me, another one next to me, and 2 behind. So Mengele goes through, and many times he didn't have time or he had a good eye, so he selected 5 people all at once. And if he saw one in the back, then he called him out. So he went in the front row, and I was there, and he passed, and he passed, and right in front of me, he picked out a very nice young boy, a friend of mine, just stepped forward. So I figured he saw me also. He went to the end, and I'm clear. But then he said that the first row should step 1 step forward. Oh my God, I said, oh my God, what am I? He's going to come now, he's going to check me. Something like a lightning in my head. I made 2 steps and I stepped in his place. I was sure that he's going to see behind me an empty space, and then I'm really going to be in trouble. My luck, he got blind or what. He passed, he didn't see it. Everybody back to the kitchen. and I was working for another month in the kitchen. This was one of my miracles that I have to share it with you to how horrible it was. So anyway, then we saw that to stay in Birkenau, that was not Auschwitz, that was Birkenau. That was the gate of hell, because there your life was hanging on a string. So I had a very good friend, another 12 boys, and we decided that we should get out from Birkenau and go to work, because we heard that you go out from there and you work and somehow we're going to survive. So they lined us up in a barrack because it was raining outside. And Mengele came and he was trying to see who is good for work, who is not good for work. He comes late, he looks at me, and I tried to stretch myself a little bit out. I was just barely 16 years old at that time. It was at the end of July. So he gave me a sets with he had a leather gloves on, that I should just stay normal. Jawohl, I understand. Then he told me that if he's going to give me a slap on my face and I wouldn't fall over, then you're going to go to work. So I didn't know which one. So I spread my leg. Then he gave me another one that I wanted to fool him. So then he told me, if you're not going to fall over now, you're going to go to work. And I put all my strength, and watched his hand, watched which way he's going to hit me. Luckily, I was able to go to work. And my friend was a little bit much stronger we grew up together since we were 2 years old. He was our neighbor. And two of us, we were holding together, supporting each other physically, mentally, with food. If he had a little extra food somewhere from the garbage dump near the kitchen, he shared it with me. So he took us by train and we went to Kaufering, Landsberg, near Munich, and they put us in a lousy barrack, and we were working there, building a huge factory for the German Air Force. They were supposed to manufacture Messerschmitt. And what the work was to deforest a big area and take out the pine tree with a root, no machines, and then to bring the dirt and make a mountain and put the rebar, and then to pour concrete, and then when it's gonna dry, then took out the dirt, and then was a half-circle bunker, and the airplanes were going out. It was supposed to be about 1.5 miles, 2 mile long factory. One end, we didn't even take out the trees. The other end, they were already flying out of the planes. This was in 1944, can you imagine? They never thought that they're gonna lose the war. Unbelievable. So I was working there. My job was, the train came in there with bags of cement, and you had to go and uplift a little higher, and there to throw it into the mixer. And there was day and night. So it was very, very hard work, So many stories I could tell you, and then from that story, I tell you another miracle. We worked to deforest, and there were a group of 12, 13 men with picks, with shovels to dig around the pine tree and then to pull the roots out. We have a little Latvian Jewish man, and he asked for the SS. He wants to relieve himself. He wants to go to the side there. So the Latvian guy went, and the German, they were already old Wehrmacht. They themselves were already tired for that job. So he let him go. And that man never came back. He tried to escape. It was very difficult because we had already civilian clothes. The only thing that they did on the back of our jacket, there was a red paint, a cross like a multiplication sign. So he couldn't go any place because the local people or the authority, police would recognize him right away. Anyway, we went back to the camp, and by the gate, the camp was about 4 or 5 miles from the working place, and they counted us, and one was missing. And then they gave us the ration, and after the ration, everybody back into the barrack, and the capo came. He said, those people who were in that group to take out the tree, there were 13 people or 14, I don't remember exactly. One escaped. You are responsible for it because you probably helped him to escape. So you're going to have a trial. So where is the trial? The trial was by the gate. Next to the gate, there was a little shack, and the officers were there, and the capo was there, and they were eating and drinking there sometimes. So they lined us up between 2 electric wires in the fence, and half hour, an hour, and we were waiting that the trial should come out, and either they're going to give us 10 or 20 spanking on our behind, which was, you could die from it really because it was so painful. People collapsed and they never wake up from it. So we were standing there, and it was already February, March, was still cold, and we didn't have clothes. Our insulation was, luckily, somebody found out that the best thing is to, because we emptied the cement powder in the machine, we opened up and we wrapped ourselves with a cement bag. And the cement bag has 3 liners, 3 or 4 sometimes. And that was our insulation. That kept us the whole winter. And it was insulated. So we were staying there by the fence, and then the capo comes out. He says, they don't know yet. Either they're going to hang us or they're going to shoot us, but we're not going to go back to the camp alive. So you stay there. You are numb. You cannot even think. You are so helpless that it wouldn't help if you would cry or if you would be upset or you would start to complain. Nothing. Like, I'm thinking back, we were standing like statues. We didn't even talk to each other. And luckily, another half hour later, the Jewish capo comes out and he says, you guys are lucky. They decided that you're going to live, you go back to the bank. Why? Because Roosevelt just died that night. And that big officer, for some reason, either he wanted to have on his credit if he's going to be a prisoner or something, we don't know. But we were saved that night. It was another miracle, a real miracle. Now, what can I tell you? Close to the liberation, the Americans were coming, but we had no idea. We didn't know there was a Normandy. We didn't know how far the American was. But one day they came and they told us that everybody should get himself together because we're leaving the camp, and we were on a march. About 3 days were taking us. We had no idea where we're going. We had no idea. So it turned out that they took us to Dachau, Allach, which was near Munich. And there were a lot of prisoners. There were prisoners from war, a lot of Russian, Ukrainian that they didn't want to fight for communism. And they would all get together there. And on the way, no food, no nothing. I was always if somebody couldn't walk, just shut him on the side. And nobody paid attention who he was, what was, nothing. 2 or 3 times I was in the back, all the rear. I was very hungry already. So I asked the Wehrmacht when we went through a village if he would allow me to go into one of the homes and beg for a little food. And the Wehrmacht They were older people, very old. They must have been around, I mean, very old now. They were 65, 60 years old. They let me, and they always gave me something. Either they give me a potato or they give me a piece of salt food, something. And that's how we made it to Allah. And we were in Allah on the last breath of our strength. We were very, very weak. And then a couple of days later, the German army came in, Eisenhower's army.
United States.
What do you say?
The U.S. Army.
What?
The U.S. Army, not the German Army.
Can't hear you.
The United States Army came in.
The United States Army. And the United States Army, Eisenhower came, and we saw the soldiers. We were not even excited about it. We were just passive. And then they came in, and then luckily we had some doctors, Jewish doctors, and they told us, please, if you want to stay alive, don't eat everything, just very small portions, because you're going to die if you eat some very heavy or a lot of, because your system is not right to it. And then we saw that the American army took local people, and they brought them in there because the dead people were in carts, and we were on a bunch here, a bunch there, and then they bought some wagons, and they made sure that the German people loading up the dead people on those wagons. We couldn't understand it, but then I came here to the United States, and I saw pictures that Eisenhower says, if they don't see it, they're going to deny it. So I wanted they should come and see it, and he was a very smart man. He saw the future. He knew that it's going to be a problem. Who could believe such a thing? Anyway, I would like that, especially younger people, they should ask me questions. Ask me questions. Maybe I could answer them. Why we didn't revolt? Why did we go like lamb? Why didn't we hide? Why didn't? Because it was something so obvious. We didn't even live in a big city. We could have gone into the forest. We could have gone into the villages. And in the village, they were not anti-Semites like in the city. But nobody thought that this could happen. And the Nazis, this happened to us in 1944. In 1942 and 1943, the Latvian, the Polish Jews, they were all decimated. There were nothing left from them. And we didn't know anything about it. There was no newspaper. There was no somebody would come from there and would say, and from Poland, some young people came to Budapest, and they told the Jewish committee what happens, and said, the guy's crazy, he scares us, it's impossible. Shooting people like what they did in Babi Yar and all, it's impossible. It's impossible. Nobody, because it never happened in the human history, such a thing. So anyway, anybody wants to ask some questions, I would love to answer. Next time I'm going to tell you my other part of the story.
So we would like to ask two questions.
Go ahead.
Question one is, did you ever see your sisters again, any of them? And did you ever make it to Israel? To Palestine, before it was Israel?
We were left 8 from 12. And we all got together in Israel. I left in a brother. All the other ones lived happily, long life in Israel. From Rosh Pinah to Ashkelon to Petach Tikva, everywhere. And it was just very, very, very exciting. Very exciting. I had 3 older brothers. They were all fighters in partisan, they gave themselves up, and they were in the Russian army. And one joined the Czechoslovak army, and he became a captain, and they were all fighting, pushed back the Nazis from Stalingrad. And when they were liberated, when it was the end, the lieutenant got a huge meshek in Czechoslovakia, and he got married, and he wanted to stay there. But then when he saw the communism is coming, he packed up right away, and he went to Israel. And the other two brothers, they came, all of them. My sisters, the son just retired from the Air Force. He became an engineer of airplane wings, second generation. I am already a great grandfather. And I'm going to be one more great grandfather in October. And the best thing is, I am an optimist, and I'm going to get married in June, the most beautiful lady. And I'm going to start a new life and never give up. Never give up. And that promise that we're going to survive and we're going to excel. And for some reason, I came to the United States without the language, without education, without money, I never looked back. And I made a business. I had made the most beautiful furniture in America, and I had 35 people working for me, and the factory is still existing today, and it's beautiful, but you have to really be thankful for every day that you are alive, and life is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. But it was a great getting together, all 8 of us there in Israel. I was in Israel in those days. I was in the Navy. I was a Chilayam, Mem Tzadik Bechilayam. Yoshev, and I was watching Ben Gurion, watching the ambassador, the American ambassador. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to him in our shul here in Connecticut, and the man came, he was there, and he says, you know, my grandfather was the first embassy in Israel. And I knew the name. I said, don't tell me him. Yeah, how do you know? So I had also pictures with him. And we would show me a rush security. And he was a very exceptionally nice man. The first ambassador, he got along very nicely with Ben Gurion that time. So that's another story. More questions, young people, where are you? Benjamin.
Yes, Papa.
All my stories.
I'm here. Yeah, I wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm so proud of you.
I can't hear you.
I wanted to say thank you so much for this opportunity and how proud I am of you for doing this. That's.
What did you say?
He's proud of you.
Come here, help me to listen.
He's proud of you for doing it. He's proud of you for doing it, for talking.
You're proud of me?
I'm very proud. And a question that came up over here was we wanted to hear a little bit about your experience in Poland, going back to all those horrible, horrible places.
Tell them about your trip in January to Poland.
What?
Tell them about your trip in January from the foundation.
Oh my God, that was something. I never went back to Auschwitz, to Birkenau. Never wanted to go back. Never. I wanted to close, not to even think about it. But we had an invitation because I was over 90. And I should go back, and I was hesitating to go, and I didn't know how I'm going to feel. And then my bride said, David, if you want to go, I go with you, and I will help you. And she swayed me. And it was just unforgettable because, first of all, 4 grandchildren came with us. The most beautiful impression what they had. It was really the highlight of my trip. And I really, how can you say, you cannot say that you enjoyed it, but when I went there back and my bride had an idea that a lot of our family didn't go, they don't go to Auschwitz, but we said that if whoever wants to send a little stone, we're going to be in Birkenau, we're going to put it in a very safe place. So we took back 42 stones, little pebbles. Everybody wrote something. Benjamin wrote something on it. And we put it by the entrance going into the crematorium. And that's when I broke down. It was too much. When I came to Birkenau, there was a group of, was a very good group leader, and he was explaining and talking, and the railroad track is still there, the old track. And I asked him, I said, please, give me 1 minute. Which way did the train come from, that way or from this way? So he showed me that's the way. When he told me that, I got the bearing. And I imagined myself jumping off the train and to hear that screeching and that tearing apart families, children, and the dogs and everything. It just all came back like in 1 second. And then they give us a little candle with a little land, and I saw the children, my grandchildren, and they were so nice to me. And I think I healed that minute. But can you imagine, in one Friday afternoon, when we arrived, 35 people from our extended family was destroyed that same day. That same day. I became an orphan instantly. It's just every generation should retell that story, because it wasn't like Yetziat Mitzrayim. It was something that we should watch it carefully, that everywhere, that it shouldn't be a dictator. If Hungary wouldn't have a dictator, this could have never happened. Never. Not in a free society. And unfortunately, since then, it happened in Uganda, they happened in Yugoslavia, and nothing. Nobody did anything. They killed Muslims, 600 people in one afternoon, because boys, men, they killed. And the United Nations was there. What do you need the United Nations for? They should tear it down and make condominiums from it. They don't do anything. In the 6-Day War, when Nasser stopped and he sent home the United Nations because Nasser blocked the Suez Canal. They thought that the United Nations is going to resist. They got an order, come home. It's going to be violence there. We don't want you to get killed. So it's a joke. It's a joke from the free country. Questions.
I would like to ask both you, David, and Shelley. Shelley, you said earlier that your father didn't share the stories when you grew up because he wanted you to have what you called before normal life. So I want to ask, at what age were you when you started hearing or understanding what your father went through? And I want to ask David, what led you to changing your approach and to start telling the story?
I couldn't tell the story. First of all, I never told my children. I didn't want that they should suffer because of that I suffered. And I started a new life. And they went to private Hebrew school, and they did learn a little bit, and I thought that's enough. And then I got here in our community, a lot of people ask me if I should tell, because they don't know anything. And when I realized how many young people, they don't know. So then, I am in the fourth quarter of my life, I'm not getting younger. And I want to make an impact. I want they should know as much as possible. I spoke to children here, they were junior high school. And I spoke only 15, 20 minutes, and I told them they should ask me questions. Most intelligent questions, most of it. And then I explained it to them, that they are the future. They're going to be lawyers, they're going to be congressmen, and they should know what could happen. It's very easy don't take it for granted, because freedom is more important than money, than anything. Freedom, you can take it away, take away everything, but if you take away the freedom, is like nefesh believe Shema. So then I decided, and I have already here and in Kent and in a couple of places, they're waiting. And
what made you decide to tell your children?
What makes you?
What made you decide to share it with your children that you were in the Holocaust?
He never really shared it, Kathy. That's Kathy, my father's bride. Kathy, you can show yourself. Kathy, you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he never really opened it up, the subject with us. I remember one of my brothers was getting married, so we must have been in our 20s. And my father's sisters came from Israel for the wedding, and we had a lunch or dinner together in our house. And they started to reminisce and talk about their time in Auschwitz. And in particular, they were telling that story about the shoes and the potatoes. And I remember that they told it very calmly, but you started to cry. And it was the first time in my life that I ever saw you get emotional or cry. And it was very upsetting for me to see you like that. And I think that you wanted to protect us, but I think we wanted to protect you also. And we didn't want to make you relive those memories. And so we didn't ask you or pry. And I think my mother was very protective, and that she kind of instilled that in us, like to protect you. It was a two-way street. Yeah.
Not easy. It's a wound, but I got healed this trip, thanks to Kathy. It did a lot of good for me. A lot of good. Okay. Hopefully we're going to come to Israel. You're going to make another meeting.
Yeah, we all dream of that. Yeah.
Oh my God. So many stories, so many. Till I got to Israel, till I was liberated. And I went to Italy, and I was sleeping at the train station, and they stole our shoes, our pants, everything. We became naked. And I was homeless in Italy in the beginning. Homeless, but we were free. You cannot. It was, we just couldn't believe it, that we can go any place. We were jumped into a train, a cattle train, and we lay down, we slept, and wherever the train went, we were happy. But it came to the station, we went into the station, and there were the priests. They gave us a glass of goat milk and a little bread, and then that was the food. But freedom. And since then, Italy is to me like my second home. And I was there for 2 years, and then it started another Aliyah Bet to go with on the ship.
That's a story maybe for next week.
Save it for next week. Yeah.
David, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much, David and Shelley, for suggesting that we hear your father's story, and I'm so glad that we did. Toda rabba b'shem kulanu, on behalf of all of us here in Jerusalem, in Kol HaNeshama, and we really, really do hope that sometime soon we'll be able to celebrate with you in Jerusalem, that this crisis we're all experiencing now around the world will be over, and we'll all be healthy and strong and able to meet again and celebrate health and freedom together here in Jerusalem. Toda rabba lecha. Much health to both of you.
Thank you. אני מדבר יידיש, איטלקית, Hungarian, Romanian, אבל
אז בפעם הבאה נעשה את זה בהונגרית. בפעם הבאה נעשה את זה בהונגרית לדוברי ההונגרית שבינינו. תודה רבה. הרבה בריאות והמון המון תודה.
Thank you very much.
תודה רבה.
בבקשה, עם ישראל חי.
תודה.
עם ישראל חי.
תודה
רבה לכם.
תודה.
ערב טוב לכולם.
תודה רבה. תודה.
ואני מזכיר שמחר אנחנו נפגשים, מי שרוצים, אנחנו נפגשים מחר כמה דקות לפני הצפירה בבוקר, כדי לעמוד יחד בצפירה, ואחר כך עוד שתי משבצות תוכן ביחד, ואחר הצהריים נצפה בסרט של אלי טל-אל, אז מוזמנים להמשיך ולהיות איתנו ביום הזיכרון לשואה ולגבורה. בריאות ושלום לכולנו. לילה טוב.
שלום לכם, שלום.
תודה.
תודה רבה.
תודה רבה. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Love you.
Thank you so much. That was so fascinating. We really appreciated it.
What did you say?
She said it was very
I said,
fascinating.
thank you so much. We really appreciated you sharing your story with us.
I couldn't say it was a pleasure, but is it all לעשות את זה. אני צריך להתאמץ חצי יום לפני זה, עכשיו ייקח לי חצי יום לעבור בחזרה ולהיכנס לבית מלאכה שלי, ואני עובד, ושם אני עובד, והיא עובדת בחדר הזה, ואנחנו ביחד, ויש לנו חיים כל כך נהדר, ומסתכלים למחר, תמיד, the future and the tomorrow. And every day is a holiday. Children used to ask me, Daddy, when is your birthday? We want to make a party. I have a birthday every day. Call you. Yes, Yom Holodet.
Amen.
David, thank you very much. I'm Debbie, Amit's mom, Amit, who stayed with you with Ben and Gabi.
Oh, yes.
And we really, really want to thank you for that and for telling your story. Amit loved hearing your stories, also about the Holocaust and also about your life in general. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, sweetheart. You're welcome. Spread the word. Spread the children. Tell them, never give up. And it's a wonderful thing to grow up in Israel today, to pick what you want to learn. It's unbelievable. It's a miracle for me to see what was and what you people accomplished every day. It's just remarkable. So it's and I get the Shelley sends me the report, and there is a scientific meeting somewhere, and the Israelis are late or something, and they say, oh, we cannot start because the Israelis are not here yet. There are 50 scientists there, but if Israel is not there, then who's gonna ask questions? Who's gonna solve the problem? Israel should be there. And I'm telling you, anti-Semitism is jealousy, pure jealousy, because everything, inventing something is in Israel. Where? In Israel. Kibitzi Anteitzei Torah.
דיוויד, אני מחכה לך בוואדי.
תודה. תודה.
Thank you so much. I never got to hear my great-grandparents' stories, and so I by hearing your story, I understand more, and it's really important what you're doing, and your zest for life is equally as important and a great lesson.
That's wonderful. Really, this is a remarkable thing to be able to set in your own living room, everybody, and you could hear it. My ear is not that good. I put it on the highest.
Every cloud has a silver lining that we could do this. It's amazing.
Papa. Papa.
Yes.
I wanted to say that you and Kathy are so beautiful. I would like to take a picture of you.
He
wants to take a picture.
Good, good.
Yeah, beautiful. Amazing. People, hi TP.
Hi Ben.
You watch the box? The box is good for the camera?
The box is good for the camera, yes. Beautiful. It's sitting right here next to me in the closet.
How was school? Good?
Good, very good.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We miss you guys so much.
Or else, I'm coming, but take off my belt. Wonderful. Shelley, you did a very big mitzvah.
I think.
דיוויד, אני רוצה לספר בעברית. סיפרו לי שכשהיית חייל, היית במשמר הכבוד שהביא את הארון של הרצל, של בנימין זאב הרצל. הביא אותו מהאונייה להר הרצל. נכון?
עוד פעם, תגידי, עוד פעם.
אני אגיד בעברית. אתה היית במשמר הכבוד שהביא את הארון של הרצל להר הרצל. נכון?
I can't hear you.
נכון, ציפי זה נכון.
כן. תגידי באנגלית, שלי. תגידי את זה באנגלית.
My father was in the honor guard that accompanied Herzl's coffin from the boat to Har Herzl when they reburied him here in Israel. So he was in...
יש לנו תמונה של יושב בתור חייל במשמר הכבוד, בקומנדקה, שהביא את הארון. הנה. כן.
I'm showing the picture now. Yeah.
כן. כן.
החיה שלי, זה החיה שלי.
כן.
She was screaming in the מצעד. I was in the first row. הוא החייל שלי.
כן.
Shelley, don't forget, tomorrow you're going to have it on our time. The movie, it's going to be 50 minutes.
Right. 15 minutes, yeah. My father is to be featured on the Channel 11 News tomorrow night with Antonia Yamin on the trip to Poland, to Auschwitz. She did a little katava about them. So I don't know. They also have a program here tomorrow with a movie. I don't know if it conflicts with that, but you know.
Channel 11 at 21 at 20 at 20 at 20.
At 8, yeah, somewhere between 8 and 9:30.
Yeah, 8 and 9:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, 8 and 9. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. All right. I think that's it. I think we can call it a night. No, you did well. You did a great job, Dan.
And 3 o'clock p.m. they're going to interview me from London, the J Tour. J Tour. He's going to. Yeah. Naftali, the Rabbi Naftali.
Getting a lot of attention. Yeah.
Oh, he's such a wonderful person. We became such good friends. He talks to Kathy at least 2-3 times a week. Just
praise for us.
Oh my God, we had we were left to take next year. I thought to take another 4 children, and we cannot, and we would go with them because the JCC and the Temple Shalom, they want to put together, so we should take a big group and J2 would organize it. But now we cannot do anything.
No. You work in your wood shop and I work on my glass, so we're having fun. We're having fun.
Yeah. You don't need to go there again. Once you've been to,
Benjamin, we're going to try out the bench in a day or two. And we're going to take a picture to look at the pond from there, from the bench that you made. On the west side.
I can't hear him.
You're muted. Ben, you're muted.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. I'm so happy, Papa. Send me a picture from there.
I will. We will.
Perfect. And thank you for tonight. Thank you so much. It was amazing. And we were here, Maya and another friend, and we.
Oh my God!
Your stories are amazing.
This good friend of mine that I went through we were all together, just passed away 2-3 months ago.
Israel.
Yeah. Because without him, only the 2 of us were left from the whole our town. Nobody else. Nobody.
Lila Tov, everybody. Lila Tov. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the hostess.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank for your patience.
Thank you, Papa. We love you.
Stay well.
Love you.
Shalom לכולכם. להתראות.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.